Hardcore World of Warcraft classic. There's something deeply philosophical about spending hours developing an emotional attachment to a character that can be permanently deleted by a lag spike. In this playthrough, I briefly entertained the delusion that I'm a competent player. Evidence I successfully healed a dungeon without causing a party wipe. What was fun in the dungeon, I was playing along a 200 IQ warrior that managed to outsource tanking to the hunter pets, similar with how everyone is outsourcing software to India and Bangladesh. So no party wipes. This is truly amazing and particularly notable because I had previously managed to not keep the tank alive in a dungeon while playing a priest. Jokes aside, I'm still thinking about that bear druid I couldn't save. Level 19. 1 second alive, corpse the next one. Sometimes the jokes write by themselves, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you're just staring there with an empty mana bar, watching someone's 40 hours of progress dissolve into a death screen. But like any respectable doctor, death stays with you. And to continue this analogy, healing is truly something else. The pressure is exquisite. It's like performing brain surgery, but if brain surgery means pressing a key not too often, but also not too late. So after the early dungeon, I'm going back to the leveling experience, but after spending what felt like several consecutive days staring at a bear's butt, and I truly mean staring, like a Renaissance painter studying the curvature of European anatomy, I found myself reaching level 20, the magical threshold where Blizzard in its early 2000s decided you've suffered enough to deserve a cat form. Now, instead of standing motionless while a mob slowly chips away at my will to live, I can move a few percentages faster and have stealth. Finally, I could transform into a feline killing machine with predatory instinct of a sedated house cat, unfortunately. But the prowling mechanic also... Prowling is particularly genius. Nothing says apex predator like crouching behind a tree for 8 seconds to ambush, But the mob was still going to die in 2 hits anyway. But hey, at least now I auto-attack in style. So there you have it, this was it. My peak performance culminating 20 levels of grinding through what can only be described as some sort of a digital purgatory. I had finally achieved mediocrity with marginally improved moving speed and some DPS increase, yeah. But there's always a but, even if you don't see a but anymore. This is where it gets interesting. After grinding through content that makes watching paint dry seem like a adrenaline sport, I make a critical error in judgment, which is precisely when my brain, my wonderful organ responsible for ideas such as eating cereals for dinner, decided this is the perfect time for a leisurely stroll through the barrens. What's the worst that could happen, right? Not paying attention, just strolling around barrens? Well, death, and not just death, permadeath, the deletion of everything I worked for, reducing my character to a digital ghost story, and my mental state to that of someone who just watched their NFT collection get right-clicked and saved, The death was swift, merciless, and entirely predictable. So I couldn't bring myself to roll another character. I did what any rational adult would do. I just quit for several months, hoping that time will heal the psychological wounds inflicted by this children's video game. Of course, addiction doesn't follow a logical timeline. In WoW Classic, the neurons responsible for pattern recognition and dopamine regulation form a unholy alliance, whispering sweet promises of maybe this time will be different. And you've learned, spoiler alerts, I hadn't. So here I am again, rolling a new druid to the alliance side this time. Night Elf starting zone has this peculiar, interesting scenery. is like being designed by someone who clearly minored in interior decorating. Here, every quest giver approaches you with the measured enthusiasm of a HR representative, explaining you why your position has been restructured. Ah, tech layoffs. Not soon enough though. I'm level 8, standing in the same forest where dreams come to die slowly. You know, the definition of insanity isn't actually repeating the same action, expecting different results. No, the definition of insanity is knowing you're repeating the same actions, expecting the same results, but somehow convincing yourself that this time you'll enjoy the suffering. And that's the beauty of hardcore classic. You do end up enjoying the suffering.